Okay, episode 4 of the Golf Strong podcast, and obviously here with West of Ireland champion 2024, Keith Egan. Well done.
Thank you.
Delighted. So I've nothing. We have nothing planned or pre-planned or any notes, etc. We're just going to really shoot the breeze and try and, I suppose, tease out a few nuggets, what was going on in your prep and your head, and just see where you're at. So I suppose my first question is, as a player to another player, did you see this happening early in the season? Have you been putting in any physical work that was different or technical work that was different that you were kind of relying on, or was it just a simple case of everything coming together?
A little bit of everything. I definitely changed physically how I was training. I was trying to be a little bit more dynamic with my movements in training. I was trying to do a lot more rotational work. Using something as simple as like the What's That strap band that we have in the gym. I was trying to use that every day to create more of a feel in terms of how I was rotating with resistance. So yeah, I suppose I did, but it wasn't something so drastic. And I think what that gave me a comfort for was, like when I would go out and hit balls and I would practice, I suppose I had done more rotational work in training, so it just made me a little bit more comfortable when I was going to hit balls. So since I've been busy the last few months especially, I didn't need to hit balls as much. It made me, my body was quite prepared when I was actually going out to hit balls rather than having to do an intense warm-up or be very particular with how I would warm up before I would hit shots. My body was all very, very used to moving, very similar to how I would in a golf move.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, from not a good week for me personally, but like I remember in my early departure, I did say to you, I thought from looking in, I'm a people watcher and I like to just kind of see what people are doing, etc. But you looked like, we even had a work chat, let's say, one of the first mornings. We got through all that stuff, and you just looked so calm, and you just looked, even in your practice, you were so calm. Any of Gary's videos I saw in the coverage, you just looked the calmest guy in the tournament. Like, again, was that, you hear people talking about being in the zone. Was that something you were trying to get into, or was it the fact that you had a lot of good stuff to lean on that you felt you were just in total control? That's all something that...
Yeah, and that's a very good question, because it is actually interesting going to a tournament and especially something like the West is the first tournament, seeing how lads have progressed over the winter. Yeah. Like if I haven't seen you play in ages, you're interested to see how you're getting on, which is it's actually one of the cool things about amateur golf, is that you get to observe that from a close angle. But I felt I went to Sligo a couple of weeks ago to played with my dad in like an open singles, and I played well, and I was very comfortable around the course, and I saw that the greens and the course was in very good condition. So I was I had a very good feeling around the course, and I thought my preparation mentally was very good, because I just seemed to develop a little bit more awareness for how I was feeling in terms of preparation for a tournament. That was I think the biggest thing that gave me confidence in everything that I was doing. I was trying to focus more on me and my process and getting in my own bubble rather than focusing on even a score in terms of stroke play. I was just focusing on literally how I handle everything, and I think that just gave me a lot of calmness playing, even though at times it didn't feel calm, but it gave me a confidence in what I was doing. So I just tried to the whole week just stay in my own bubble. So it's everything's very internal here. I'm just doing what I can.
All right, let's get into that a bit. You say internal, right? So does that mean, I know everyone is irrelevant and you're so in yourself that you're doing your thing? Was that something you practiced? Was that something you decided on? Was that something you thought of maybe in previous seasons? You've seen it somewhere else that you needed to, because this has happened now, right? So you've obviously got a template that works. So is it a case of, deciding, right, I'm going to be more internal, or actually going through a process to get in that state?
I suppose from speaking to various people, it just gave me a sense of awareness of how do I play well? And then that's what made me come to the realization that that's the position that I need to get in. So some people need to maybe talk with their playing partners, talk with someone while they're playing, feel like it's an open singles, when for me, I need to feel like it's intense. I need to feel like there's pressure. I need to feel like I'm in a very, very intense competitive environment. So that's where I've realized in the past, that's where I perform well.
So would your kryptonite so be casual golf?
Yeah, I'm awful casual golf player.
All right, good. We're
Even
getting
like
there.
a putting competition on a putting green
Yeah,
or chip,
couldn't
I can't do it. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'd be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's
So
good.
for me in practice, what I need to do in practice is to create some sort of a visualization that resembles competition. So I need to feel like I put myself under pressure mentally. Now, instead of physically, I need to put myself under pressure mentally, that I'm hitting a shot that's the 15th tee in Ross's, or that's the 7th tee in the European.
Okay, so yeah, exactly, hardest hole in the world. So if you, all right, so just simulate the practice round so in Sligo, right? Because, you know, again, I'm always interested in this with people. So you've won the tournament, right? So how did you structure that to be a little bit more not casual, basically, or more intense? Was that your plan?
I used the practice round to really embed my game plan for the course. Dara Gran, who caddied for me, I very much just spoke with him in the practice round. Didn't have a plan for him to caddy for me. It was mainly just like I saw him there. I was like, "Here, Dara, do you want to caddy in the practice round?" And then we got on very well. I was playing with like 3 of my friends, Paul O'Hanlon, Aidan Dooley, and Dara Flynn, and we had good fun in the practice round. But I definitely had a sense of every shot that I got into was competitive.
Okay, cool. All right, another question. Was there not? Sometimes you hear people, and you know, during a tournament, you get a sense that you're just going to win. Did that hit you at any point? And this is obviously not disrespecting any of your opponents, but you do hear this. You kind of say, right, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I feel this, and it's staying with me. Did that happen yet?
I suppose like before I played the semi-final, I realised out of the lads that were left, I actually had the most experience, and it's the first time that I've ever thought in a situation like that where I had the most experience, so I have a good chance to win. But what gave me confidence about winning was just the second round, the bogey-free 1 under in those conditions, and it was more so how I played, and especially the day before I had a really bad run from 15, 16, 17. And even the way I played 18 in the first round was just like a
You were a couple under, were you? Through 14 or?
I was 3 under after 14,
Yeah.
and I went double bogey, bogey, and I actually made a good par on 18. So it was more so I got out of my bubble in the first round, and then the second round, how just disciplined and dogged I was to get that in. I knew that there was to fight for that score, what I had in the second round, there was no match that was going to be harder than that.
Okay.
So that gave me a confidence in each match that I was like, no, I've done this in a situation like this week on this course, so I can do it in any match.
Okay, right. Real intrusive question, and again, no disrespect to anyone. Who was the best player you played against in that tournament?
I suppose the most impressive, and this is probably just because I haven't played enough with him, was Ross Latimer in terms of ball striking. And like and you're very similar to me. Like I love an absolute ripper of the ball, and he was very impressive. Like I know Evan Farrell very well. I know David Brady very well. I know Paul O'Hanlon very well. So there was nothing that surprised me with them, and they're all really, really good. But Ross was like a nice surprise because I just haven't played with him enough. I think I might have played with him once before.
Okay, here's another one. Do you see Ross's Point as I suppose a golf course that lends itself to a right to left player or a left to right player?
I think it's a right to left.
So do I.
Players golf course.
Yeah. What way would you see yourself?
A stock shot would be a fade. But I think into the greens, I think definitely off the tee it's more of a drawers golf course. But especially there's a few holes it'll be interesting. I think in the Irish Am it'll probably be even more of a drawers golf course because it'll be firm.
Yeah.
But it was soft enough where it didn't really matter. There's a few shots where you kind of have to hit a draw. Like 12, you actually have to be able to draw it. And like most of the rounds I hit a perfect draw for that tee. 14, although I turned that into a fader's hole, I faded it off the water.
Off the hazard, yeah.
And again with that wind, it almost did favour a fade. But I find the third tee definitely a drawer's hole. But I think it's a mid-iron player's golf course. So I think if you can shape your mid-irons both ways, it makes it relatively easy.
Yeah, you can kind of decide whether you want to take it on off the tee or not, and it's probably more stress-free not. But you need to be, as you say, you need to be on your game with your irons, and like, which is not a bad strategy for that place. Like,
no, and that's what I that was my game plan, to leave myself mid irons almost all the way around, and like I'm very comfortable with my mid irons, and I can shape it both ways, and that as a result that makes me like good in terms of distance with my mid irons. So like I knew that if I was not conservative off the tee, but if I just had a good plan, even using 2-iron a lot off the tee, that it would just come down to my mid irons. And yeah, for the week they were very good, and then my mid range putting was extremely good. So it was just a nice balance.
Okay, so I suppose with all of that, did you have your full toolbox? Like, did you have your A game to win this tournament?
Yeah, well, like it's. Now, and I think like I think for me evaluating, for everyone saying to me, saying that I played unbelievably well, but it's kind of hard assessing yourself in terms of how I played. But like how I felt like I hit it, I felt like there was definitely room to improve. But in terms of my chipping and putting, as my all round game in terms of how I scored, like I think I was level par in 2 matches, and then I was under par for the rest of them, which was very good around that course. Like it's a hard course to shoot under par on. So let's say I was one over par round in 8 rounds around there, which is like it's hard to say you're not in top form, because I think chipping and putting I was very clinical in really tough places.
Well, you took on shots as well that probably, let's call a spade, 90% of the field would have putted.
Yeah.
So you had a pair of balls to take the shots on, like.
Yeah, and
there's nothing better than seeing that when it comes off, like.
Exactly. And it's funny, like there's certain situations where I chipped and let's say 90% would put, but I was like, I've hit this chip a million times. I haven't hit the putt before.
Yeah.
So like if I take it out, it's actually a low percentage putt for me to hit.
Well, you need to, but in fairness to you, you had to
have the confidence in my technique and my ability. And that's what takes it. It needs to be a balance between both.
But that's what you see. This is the thing that really interests me. Like when I'm looking at that as a player, and you pull off that shot. Let's say the 2 chips you hit right at 16, right? You're like, fucking lovely shots. They were lovely shots at the right time, right? But sometimes when you're in the situation, you see a player going for a back foot shot or a putt, particularly when you're playing against them, you know there's kind of a hole in their game there. But when you see a shot like that from an opponent, you're kind of saying, this fella's on it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which probably, did you win those holes both times?
I won.
With the chips.
I won both, yeah. Well, I have, because David Brady held like a 15-footer to put the pressure on me, which was actually class to see. But it was like, I think 16, especially when the flag's on the left, you're never losing a hole with a 3. So I was kind of making sure, and I was on the right in the morning against Ross.
Was that always the plan miss? Or
almost like right centre of the green, and I did hit a couple of bad shots, but if I miss right, I know, especially when I was in the final, I literally hit the exact same shot in the morning. Except I was in the fringe, so I was like, that's an easy shot for me. So I had proof, so I didn't even think twice about what I was doing.
Cool. Right, on the flip side of probably getting a sense that you were going to win at some point, honestly, because it does happen, and you can recover from this, was there ever a situation you thought, no, this might not happen?
I suppose when I snap hooked it on the first hole in the final, that's
But that was
I never, I suppose that's the thing that was so good about my mentality for the week, that I'm only actually coming to realise now that I never really thought anything about losing.
Really?
I just tried to play the golf course.
That's some mental achievement.
Never even thought about it at all. I suppose the one time that I thought I couldn't lose was, like, in terms of like emotionally, I can't lose this match, was against Paula Hanlon, and that's just an emotional connection, which is normal. So no time where I was like, oh no, this isn't going to happen. And I suppose at the same time I didn't really think about winning too much either, because I understood, like, I've and that's where maybe not scar tissue, but awareness of what happens in the past is very important. I've lost matches being up on 14 or 15 tee and then went on to lose the match. So even in the final, I was very aware that could happen, and mad things can happen, especially in finals. So I was very aware with the situation at all times.
Yeah. Very good. I suppose the final, you're kind of in control. I mean, you looked unbelievably in control. Last few holes there are tough enough. It probably finished as good as you could have wanted it to. I know. Did you hit it left on 15 or something coming in?
Yeah, I hit the worst tee shot ever on 15.
Okay,
but
let's go to that then,
yeah.
right? So you hit that shot. What was that? A 2-iron?
2-iron, yeah.
What was the story there? What was the thought process there?
My thought process all week, especially after the first round, was like, no matter what the situation is, no matter what score I am, no matter how well I'm playing, no matter how bad I'm playing, I was like, once I get to 14T, it's a new golf course and play level par from there in. So I was like, just because you know this from playing it a million times, it's you have to give that its own respect. Yeah. It's almost like you give the first 5, the middle 6, and then the last few like a totally different attitude. So I knew when I was in the final, I was 3 up on. I think I was 3 up on 14 through 14, and I remember on 14T saying to my caddy Dara, I was like, right, even match, level par from here in, and like let's just stick to that plan. And then when I got to 15T, I stood up the exact same mindset. I was like, it's a 2-iron, and there's a path that goes up to or coming down from the 5th tee that kind of crosses, and I was like, just aiming at that and hit it hard. Because I was like, I know my tendency in that situation, if anything, would be to get off of that tee a little bit pokey, especially hitting a 2-iron off the tee. Yeah. So I was like, hit it hard and like trust it. It's very free. And I think it was more so just of an execution thing. I didn't hit it hard and I bailed out a little bit left. So I hit it like a weak pull left into the hill, and I just caught the hill on the left. And then that's when I was like, shit, that's a bad swing at maybe a bad time. And then I was like, I saw I was behind the hill, and I was saying to Dara, and I was kind of saying to myself that going up, I was like, right, let's just make a 4 and stick to our plan, like make par and then make par in. And then I just got a distance. I think I was 225 flag. Flag was kind of middle right. I was like, okay, leave myself 100 yards. So hit a 50 degree, left myself 96, and I get up to the ball in the fairway, and I saw I was slightly on a downslope, very bare lie. So it's a sweaty lie. Horrible shot. Like so, and then I remember thinking like, no, this is actually good because I'm slightly into the wind, 56 degree. This will actually do the job, so it'll come off low and spinny. And then once I got over the ball, I just got my hands as loose as possible, and then again hit it hard. And trust it, get my body nice and free, and it just came out perfect, like as good as I could imagine.
So it's like, it seems you're kind of painting a picture like of free commitment.
Yeah, tight mind, free body. Yeah,
nice.
Trying to be as focused, but then physically as loose as possible.
Don't give away all your secrets now. It's pretty good stuff, in fairness. All right, so just to wrap it up quickly, right? So for any, I suppose, younger players looking in who are looking at this, we were all this soldier at one point. Like, how do people actually win these championships? And then those of us who can win them, or who have been lucky enough to win, you kind of say, well, Jesus, like, all this work goes into it, but it changes your mindset. I suppose, could you give any nugget to any kid listening or looking at this saying, who want or desire to win these things, who are close? There's lots of players we could think of who not necessarily are juniors. We were chatting about these guys, which we won't say, but like there are a few out there that we see as the next guy to win. What would you say now that you have won this, and you're probably have a different mindset going into the next one?
And that's a great question, because like I suppose you need to just trust yourself is the big thing. And like because even a few weeks ago I was kind of thinking like, you might never win one, because like I'm only getting busier now. And I think I met Michael Quirk and John Cleary, Tommy Cleary a few months ago, and they said, "You're no spring chicken now, boy. Like you need to win one." And then I was kind of thinking, "Gee, like you're right, but and you're very aware of that." So I suppose the big thing is like really trusting yourself, and like it's mad now, I suppose, after winning one, but it's you're never that far away is the big thing. Like I wouldn't say that I played better than I've ever played and you win. It's just trying to find a balance, and then trusting yourself is the big thing. It's kind of something that stuck with me, especially in the latter stages, like experience that I have. it just made me trust myself, especially going into like a semi-final and final.
Yeah.
That was the big thing.
All right, Billy's killing us here. Are we still rolling? Yeah. All right, listen, well done, delighted.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We'll go again. All right,
Definitely.
thank you.